Hello everybody, Pilgrim here, and welcome to my showcase for the living weapon build, the Smith of Catava. So I am level 78 now, which is where I got my new fancy weapon. This is a 750 DPS, almost pure fizz. So we're actually going brutality on the manifest weapon. I will be testing out some stuff like bleed, and I'll get back to you on that. But for the moment, this is the build. So initially, when you as you're leveling, you'll pass through this top section here and make a beeline for Commanding Rage. This singular node is what basically sets the entire build up for success, because it gives your living weapon a massive amount of attack speed. And this deals with the number one biggest issue that the skill has, which is because it's untargetable, all of the monsters are moving towards you. They're not moving towards your living weapon. As a result, the default wind-up time is really, really bad, and for pretty much every weapon, without any sort of investment. And so what happens is it'll attack, but the entire attack animation is slow enough that the monster will simply walk away. And this only increases further as you progress through the game, where monsters are getting faster and faster. But even right at the start, at level like 22 or so, when you go ahead and do the seconds trial, it just won't land. And this is, I think, primarily the reason why a lot of people had such a bad reception on launch, because they were just immediately getting living weapon, but they had no way, they didn't support it in any way. Okay, so even the tooltip that it had, you would find that it wasn't actually accomplishing that because it wouldn't land a hit. And this has nothing to do with the attack rating. Like, when it initially got introduced, minions still had to roll to hit, but that is no longer the case. All minions now automatically hit, but that still doesn't mean that it lands, right? Every attack, including strikes, has a window where a monster must be in order to be hit. And if they move out of that area during the attack animation, then you just won't land a hit. It's as simple as that. So what this does is allows us to get a load of attack speed, like 30% attack speed straight away. And immediately, that is usually enough, unless you've got a really, really bad base attack speed weapon. Then it is going to enable your living weapon to land those hits. Okay, we are also going for talismans. Talismans mean that we can do a bear form. Bear form means that we get a native 5 rage per hit. So we don't even have to invest in the rage gem, although I will say that it is nicer if you do have that, because we are going to be spending rage as well. So we want to have as much rage up as we possibly can in between rage spenders. Now, if you fight Gillenor or Genor, whatever his name is, the Act 1 boss, end of Act boss, then you'll have access to Primal Rage. So you'll have a really large amount of max rage going into the fight. So here, this will be 34. 40, 52. So 52 rage. That means that your minion, your living weapon. So, not your living weapon at Act 1. Obviously, that's Act 2. But you'll probably use them like Pounce. So you'll get some free wolves as you're leveling. until living weapon, and then yeah, those will benefit nicely from the increased minion attack damage and attack speed. So yeah, and that's at level 17. So I highly suggest you just level slightly more before doing that boss fight, and you'll have a much nicer time. From that point on, if you then go down to, I believe it's here, Battle Trance. Let's double check. It might be here. So 17, 18, 19, 20. So it's actually here. So at 22, when you're doing Sekimers, you'll want to get Unforgiving Rage. That's another +4. And the inherent rage loss starts 3 seconds later, which is really nice in the beginning of the game. Okay, so we don't have as much rage spenders, so what we just want to do at this stage is use as much max rage as possible. And then it's a case of getting other rage nodes. So we're going to go down to Battle Trance. We are going to be getting another dual socket, and we can put Presence Area of Effect here. And that's going to be really, really good. We don't need to do this immediately. We only want to do this when we actually get our Scepter. Talking of Scepter, the moment you get Battle Trance, I would say go up and grab Lord of the Wilds. Grab yourself a nice Scepter with damage in Presence, and then we've got 3 dual sockets by this stage. 1, 2, and 3. Now you can put some Presence in duels. Then I would go up and get Rallying Form so that your companions get Onslaught. So that is another 20% skill speed and 10% move speed. This deals with a second limitation of the skill, which is once you've got the damage to deal with like individual targets, clear speed is pretty much is going to come down to how fast it can move between packs. So we're going to get move speed here, then we're going to get move speed here, along with some attack damage, some movement speed, more attack speed for the minions. It's going to be really, really nice. Now, during all of this time, it's still going to be based on this line here, right? And so I just remembered that you probably can't see my mouse, but you can see the bigger one. So yeah, you go up through here, and then at some point I'd probably recommend Unwavering Stance, because you are a shapeshifter and you're using Pounce. Werewolves get innate move speed bonuses, so it's not really a requirement to be able to sprint, so you might as well be immune to light stuns and move around with Werewolf and Pounce. Once you've done all of that, I would suggest you come up here, get yourself another jewel, pick yourself up Gigantic before going into Relentless Fallen, which gives you more attack speed on the minion and more movement speed. So we're going to have a total of 40 increased movement speed on our minions, which is the max you can get in the game at the moment. We also get a tiny bit of movement speed as well. You'll be pathing through the increased damage. Now, eventually, and I would say that this is the point where you would probably be at tier 1 maps, we are going to be pretty... we're not going to be very tanky at this stage. The werebear does have innate defenses. Like, for example, we gain armor, like just straight armor, as well as armor applies to elemental damage. and we get 40% of that by default, just for being in the werebear. So we do have some defenses. A good scepter during this point in time, because you are a Smith of Cadaver, your second, so your first points would go into Living Weapon, of course, to get it online, but then you'd want to do Coal Stoker and pump Fire Res. That's going to deal with a lot of problems. If we look at my gear, these are the sorts of gear that I had during the campaign, but this is an excellent sort of weapon to go for, is these Shrine Scepters. You do get the benefit of Purity of Fire, so that's really, really nice. And what you want to go for is attack speed, and then you'll probably just want to go for elemental damage all through the leveling process, because it's by far the easiest to come across. Okay, you can get some triple ele damage with attack speed on scepters very, very easily. And in terms of what goes in your scepters, Snake Idols are very, very good because of the attack speed, of course. But you should note that pretty much all idols are going to be expensive. So just bear that in mind. It might not be something you can do until you get something like a high-level spirit gem, or, you know, just be on the lookout for stuff that you can sell. Pretty much any spirit gem below tier 14, I believe, is going to be useless for you. We're not going to be really doing much with persistent gems outside of Berserk, and we don't get that until level 14. Right, that's the minimum level for it. So yeah. Also, another good thing about Purity of Fire is that you can actually get a load of free support gems in it. Now, I don't know if that is a bug or if it's a bug that Malice doesn't allow that. It was always my impression that it was intended behavior, because this was a thing since 0.1. And if you put stuff in like Purity of Fire or like a Purity aura, then any of those spirit costing support gems would be free. That doesn't appear to be working with Malice, and I don't know why. So yeah, it's kind of annoying. We're losing out on quite a bit. We're losing out on 2% life regeneration, and we're losing out on like a Clarity 2, whichever one that is. It's like 40 or 60 or something mana regen. So that's quite frustrating. So hopefully that is a bug, and that will get fixed. But yeah, that's Shrine Scepter is very good. Now, what's next? Let's go over gear. So let's take a look at some of the gear that I had leveling. So you'll see a consistent theme of stacking strength and dex. These are excellent gloves. I've only recently switched these out, and I only switched out when I saw a pair of 7 divine gloves. So these are the only ones that came anywhere close to actually really beating this. Obviously it misses out on some dexterity. We could only go for strength because of the, you know, the lack of lack of space. You know, I needed the 2 resistances to do resistance capping, and but yeah, it's life, as much strength followed by dexterity as you can grab. For the weapons, you just want to go for the highest DPS you can get. That has a reasonable attack speed. I think 1.4 should be the limit. And anything less than that, I think it's going to be too slow. And this is the same reason why I think that, although I will test it at level 84, the Fury of the Mountain? Question mark? Fury of the King. Right, is, I think this is going to be absolute trash, if I'm going to be brutally honest with you. The attack speed is not good enough. Okay, and even these ones that are like 150 divine, which is more than doable. 1.26, I don't think is going to be good enough. In fact, how like this person put in 3 increased attack speeds, and if you were ever going to have wow, this guy put in 4 of them and it's still shitter. Christ. Yeah, the only way this is going to be viable is going to be putting attack speed in it. And you can see that these are quite expensive. But yeah, it's just so freaking slow. So I don't think it's going to be worth it. But we'll see. Because you got to remember the all attack speed that we give the minion is going to be increasing this number here. Okay, so it makes a huge difference. Right, so yeah. But it is a lot of damage, I'll give it that. And it is all elemental based, which is, again, very, very interesting. In fact, how many divines do I have? Okay, so I need to get 100 more divines, but if that doesn't sell, that is probably the one I'm going to pick up. So that's been there for 2 months. And if any of them is going to be viable, it's going to be this one. And I do not have 2300 divines. Damn, if that rolled a 3rd socket, that would have been goddamn amazing. That's such a shame. He must be so bummed. But yeah, basically just look for the DPS. It's probably going to be elemental. It's I got really lucky on this one. This is almost pure physical at 750 DPS, which as of yesterday was the best on the market. So if we go for talisman, we don't even put a price in, we just do, oh, and we do non-unique. There we go. So this one, yeah, I remember seeing this. So this is, at the time, this was the one that was lower. And then this one, I may have just completely discounted it. Probably because while it is slightly more damage, it was split between elemental and fizz. And having like a pure fizz is just going to be able to scale better because you can scale physical damage on more gems. So you've got brutality, you've got heavy swing, you've got heft. And, you know, eventually at level 90 you're going to have a 6-1, and that can also be a physical one. Whereas elemental, it's a lot worse. Like, for example, one of the links is going to have to be an attunement. And so, unless you are a single element, like Fury of the King, then it's always going to lead behind a physical. Anyway, this one, they were selling for 80 Exalt, and this thing would have been worth, well, 150 divine. Like, I would have saved up and paid 150 divine because it's the best on the market at the moment. And just to clarify, when because somebody made us point on Reddit. Oh, they're saying that's actually not the highest DPS on the market. When I wrote that, I meant my level 58 one, this one, because that's the build that I had. And obviously they didn't see this weapon here. Now, technically, and also when I mean market, I mean it's what I can physically see. Like, if someone has a better weapon and they're using it, I can't see that. So market in this case means what I can see on here. So, with some exceptions, like, yeah, this probably was there, but I discounted it. Because, yeah, ultimately you scale it way worse. Okay, so, in terms of the current gear, though, so as I said, this is the weapon that we have. Pure physical, excellent weapon. Any strength that you get on the weapon, you basically combine that with increased physical damage, because that amounts to exactly the same thing. So this is quite substantial. With a huge increased attack speed for this space weapon. This weapon is all about flat physical damage. And what's crazy is that it's corrupted and it rolled several pretty bad mods. Like, we don't care about the cold damage, we don't care about the accuracy rating. Can you imagine if this rolled fizz? Like flat fizz or something? It would be mental. Yeah, unfortunately this league is pretty bad. 750, as you saw, was pretty much the limit of what people are making at the moment and selling. On standard, they're going like into the 1200s. And sure, they are very, very expensive, but they exist. Whereas in Fate of the Veil, they don't exist at all. On the Scepter, we have this Malice. Honestly, I would much prefer a Purity of Fire. This is technically more damage, but because at that point we're going increased damage, added physical damage, and attack speed. The elemental resistances are completely dead. The maximum mana is a dead stat. The mana regeneration is also pretty much a dead stat. We don't need any of those. And yet, this was pretty expensive as well. Unfortunately, in much the same way that there's a whole lack of talismans, there's a whole lot of lacking scepters. And so, if we were to go on here, and again, look for physical damage to attack. No. And we look for the attack speed, physical damage, and increased damage. And you want to go for some like 25 on the added. That's like a top tier roll. And you can see we've got some options. I decided to actually gear up in other places instead of getting the Purity, which was available yesterday. Obviously, this was up 26 days ago, but I decided not to do it for two reasons. Number one, the increased damage was quite low, and it has a completely dead cold damage stat. If I didn't really care about going brutality, it might be worth it. But as you can see, it's just pretty difficult to find something decent. So even if we were to go down to like 20, and we did Purity of Fire, and we did something like this. Again, we still have a dead stat with lightning damage. And we're not really doing anything with crit. This one's way too expensive. And we also don't care about minion skills. Like, Living Weapon is not affected by any plus to skills. And the list basically just continues on. Same sorts of thing. Like, it's just very hard to realistically say this is worth it. Like, this is probably the best of the bunch because it's got increased spirit. Increased magnitude is actually pretty damn good. But, you know, ultimately, you know, you look at this spirit and you say, well, can you actually do anything with that spirit? And the answer is no. Because you would need a 10 spirit costing support, and those don't exist as far as I'm aware. So the increased spirit doesn't actually do anything for us. But the aura skills having 18% increased magnitude is an interesting one. Is Berserk an aura? No, it's not. It's not classed as an aura. It would be good if it was, but it's not. So yeah, Scepter is a bit of a pain point for me at the moment. Yeah. We also have an Astramantus. I've spent a lot of currency on this. It's probably by far the most expensive piece on here. It was already a near max draw. I think it was like 3 points under or something. And then I put a load of attributes. What are they called? Catalysts. So those are very expensive. And I think I had one of them already. So in the end, I needed 18. And if you come on here, and what are they delirium? No, they're not delirium. Yeah, okay, and they are adaptive. Okay, so it's roughly around 2 divines for those catalysts alone. The amulet was several divines as well. But the thing that really kind of messed me up was the Relentless Fallen that requires an isolation. That again was probably around 4.5 divine. It's very annoying to actually get hold of that isolation because of its 0.5 of a divine cost. Yeah, because unlike like a regular trade, like outside of the in-game market, you can actually message them and say, yeah, so 4 divines and then this amount in X, but you can't actually do that on the in-game market. So yeah, that is probably around 10 divine, which is interesting. Like, this was very close to being my next most expensive. And then everything else is basically life regen, attributes, resistances, life. You get the idea. Using an ornate plate. This is probably the thing that I can upgrade next. I mean, I have 54 divines, so I could probably look for it. Like, I'm not actually dead set on keeping it. We do want a normal one. It'd be great if we had it's on here. You can, I believe, get up to 4 augment sockets. There we go. That was weird. And lock that one mirror. So 2.13 for 165. So that is in my sights now. That looks pretty damn good. Yeah. I'll probably be saving up for a better ornate plate then. But at the moment, yeah, you can see that I've just got 3 of these greater body runes for the extra life. And natively, it's obviously got 2.4 life per second, which is quite nice. And then on my 3rd trial, that is when I did this. And then when I actually got it initially, I had leather bindings as well as heat proofing because I didn't have any chaos, and because of the degen on Berserk, this is why you needed life recovery. So all of the damage, like all of the dots, all of the ailment dots were absolutely destroying me. So heat proofing solves this issue. But I then spent a load of currency on getting new rings. Ended up getting a total of 32 chaos rares, which at that point, and the fact that I have around 1,000 life regen, I feel now confident of surviving dots, and so I picked up support straps instead. So it's quite a bit of extra damage. In the 4th trial, I will probably go for Catavan engraving for the extra life, possibly going back to heat proofing, but I also might do flowing metal. Possibly being immune to critical damage entirely. Or, well, not entirely. Like, they still crit, and if they have really, really high critical damage, it's still more. But it's basically, it removes crits. And then dedication to Katava is also an interesting one. It's going to take me a very long time and a lot of currency to grab 75 chaos rares. This would be a very cheap way of getting additional chaos rares. Frustratingly, this is separate from elemental as fizz, like, or I should say, like armor as elemental damage. It'd be really cool if that just got added on to that mechanic, but it's not. This is just a flat amount for chaos, so it can only ever be 100%. It can't go above that. Whereas with elemental, you can actually go above 100%. So yeah, that kind of sucks. But so that's the gearing. We've got some 30 MS boots as well, so we're pretty fast in our werewolf form. Right. And let's go over the gems. So on Maul, we've got Rapid Attacks, Rage 3, Life Leech 3, and Living Lightning. Living Lightning is what I'm using to deal with Clear. Okay, so it's scaled in exactly the same way as Living Weapon, which is that it gets attack speed from Dex and damage from Strength. So it's just really, really good to deal with Clear, since Living Weapon is there, or at least this this talisman version of it is really there for single targets. It has insane single target damage, but it's not that great at clear. And so, yeah, Living Lightning is like a really simple way of dealing with that. Without, in my opinion, it doesn't take away from the idea of the living weapon build. Okay, and then on Manifest Weapon we've got Rapid Attacks, Brutality 3, Heavy Swing, and Heft. I do want to try Bleeding, but I'm not going to do that until level 90 when I get access to the last support, because I just don't think it's going to be good with 4. Of course we've got Malice here, and we've got Prolonged Duration, so this lasts a little bit longer than usual. So it is 5 seconds, however, with Prolonged Duration that now goes up to 6.75. If they change it so that supports come back, like spirit costs are negated on these types of inbuilt skills, then you can actually double dip. So you can actually get Vitality 2, and it actually double dips with Vitality 1, so you actually get a max of 3%. You can also get Clarity, as I said. You can also grab things like Warm-Blooded and like the Heat version. So basically Ignites and Freezes are have less duration. So plenty of stuff that you could add on there if they change it back. Then we have Pounce with Rapid Attacks 2, Rage Forged 1. The reason why this is Rage Forged 1 and not Rage Forged 2 is because we don't actually want it to not take up Rage. We do actually need Rage usage, because we have a node on the tree down here where our minions actually get Rage if we generate it. If we're always at 100% Rage, we don't generate it. And so we need to actually use Rage and then top it up again to get this buff. But this actually gives minions an extra 30% more damage. They do not gain any other benefits of your Rage accumulation. I have up to, I think it's 70 something Rage, and they don't get that. They have their own internal Rage amount, which is the default 30. And so, what was I saying? Yeah, Pounce. Yeah, Rapid Attacks, Rage Forged 1. Voltaic Mark, this is simply... this actually has no purpose other than stopping us getting wolves. Technically speaking, the wolves would benefit you. They would benefit you. However, the point of this build was really to show Living Weapon in the best light possible by having it do as much as possible. And if you had wolves, then you would be incentivized to get things like minion skills and just scale wolves over Living Weapon. And that isn't in the spirit of the skill. That's not what I'm trying to do. So this is basically just taking up a slot that says don't generate wolves. I've never seen that mark go off, which is a shame. I can't think of a way to actually enable it. I don't know, maybe this is something about the skill that I'm just not understanding. If anybody knows of a way that I can easily proc this, I would love it, because it's just 30% more damage for my maul. Like, my manifest weapons are never going to be able to use it, but my maul certainly will. We have also got cooldown recovery, just so that we can pounce as often as we can from the movement speed. This is going to be not so much an issue in mapping, but I intend to start doing pinnacle bosses today, and we're going to need to be able to
I can't yet.
Move quickly, especially at Arbiter, where you've got to go to the sections on the floor that's not going to get blasted. And then it's also got Holy Descent, which is again just a load more. Sorry, where am I going? A load more recovery. So we're 850 at the moment. The fact that we don't have Vitality 2 is really sucks. So we can actually show just how much of an impact that has. And this is another benefit actually of having a Purity Scepter, is because we could also get this life regen. So we can put it in here and turn off that. And then you can see we are getting there we go. Yeah, 911. So we're getting a fair bit more by having an extra 2%. And yeah, so that sucks. Right, what else? We have we've got Ferocious Roar. So because we are now doing Fizz, I switched to the base Ferocious Roar. I was using Infernal Cry in this for clear, and you could certainly use that instead of Living Lightning if you were going Elemental. If the Fury of the King actually works, then yes, we can absolutely remove Living Lightning and add on the Infernal Cry with like exposure effect and stuff like that. Although saying that, I don't think that's needed. I think Fury of the King is exposure in presence. So you could go fire attunement, fire skill level, stuff like that. Yeah, you could go that route. But for the moment, we are number one, it gives us immediate rage, gives us max rage in a boss fight, and second, it does a huge amount of armor breaking. So that's really good. So at the moment we've just got Magnified Area and Rage and Cry. I can't think of anything else that would really benefit. But really anything could go in there. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't take up a lot of mana. And then, yeah, lastly we've got Berserk. So Berserk, Rage Effect, does in fact work with Commanding Rage. And this is just due to how the skill works, like the effect works. So if we open this up, effectively, I found this out after finding Primal Hunger didn't work. So, and to understand why, you need to understand what it means by Rage Effect. So Rage Effect is basically anything in this text box. Okay, which sounds simple enough, right? But this should really dynamically update whenever you get grants to a thing. And currently it doesn't do that. But for the purposes of no rage effect, anything that says rage also grants you, imagine it going in this text box, right? And then if you get an effect like no rage effect, then you basically just remove everything in the text box. And the only thing left is a resource. And that's all it's there for. It's just giving you lots of a rage resource that you can spam over and over. I think that's really bad, though. I think that's a really bad keystone. Obviously, I would love it for it to just say you don't get the benefits of rage, but you still get what's in here. That way, minions can still benefit. But alas, it does not say that currently. Now, after level around, I think, 70, 72, and you've got all of the rage stuff, you can be a bit more survivable. So, for starters, we can remove Unforgiving. We don't need the inherent loss anymore since we want to be using it. It does hurt to lose out max rage, but it's just not efficient for 4 nodes at this stage. It's much better to go with some sort of defensive. Like with the amount of rage you have to mitigate the life degen. So, with that being said, we now need to start repathing. So it was at this stage I repathed down this way so that I had access to the mass rejuvenation cluster. Relentless. Then I went with Pale Heart. And Recoup as well. Recoup works really nice with regen. Because it means it's always in effect. It's really, really nice. Basically, if you were to take one or the other, part of it would be wasted. But when you take both of them, they kind of compound. And you always get the full benefits pretty much all of the time. It works really well together. So at the moment, in terms of defenses, we've got, maxed fire, cold, and lightning with some overcap. We've got a decent amount of chaos res. Our armor is probably the sticking point here. 51% is not a lot. It's just really hard to get. An option, actually, would be, through all of this, to actually grab Prism Guard into Vengeful Fury, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, which would be our level 90. Right, and then you'd basically have a bunch of armor price elemental damage. And also your rage would grant increased armor. It's not ideal. I'm sure there might be better ways to get armor stacking. But I think no matter what, it's going to be fairly difficult at this stage. Like we have this this whole armor cluster here. And bearing in mind, we have no armor scaling at all at the moment. So pretty much any one of these is going to be fantastic. Like, this whole section, so that is 45, 90, 120, 145. So consider this 145 more, right? Because it's just a straight, like, 2.5 times as much. So we'll actually end up with 1400 basically. So 7 point about 7.7, something like that, or something like, yeah, about 7.7k armor. So which is significantly more. Whereas this is less, of course, but you get more elemental. And I feel like more elemental is going to be better. But I suppose it just depends. Either way, if you can think of a more efficient amount, let me know. So, also, if you're going Fury the King, you'll probably end up getting Molten One's Gift. So, yeah. Oh, and also this is going to give me an extra 400 as well in the next trial. But yeah, that's the next biggest thing to deal with is armor. Okay, so that was the explanation. Let's go into a T10 map. So initially when I started this, I said I thought I was going to struggle on T5s. That has not been the case. Once again, I think I was going down this way for Merchant. It's going to have a lot, and it's going to have an Abyss, and it's going to be an extra level higher. We've got Shocked Ground, more magic and rares. We're going to get Enfeeble, so it's going to be slightly less damage. They're also going to have slightly more health. But it's a relatively safe map, I would say. Although this is not the ideal map, I will admit. So this will have poison damage. So this is the blue stuff is the living lightning. Okay, another thing as well that's super important is, and it's completely free, if you go into input and you scroll down, there's an option that says direct minions. This doesn't actually have anything set for it, I don't believe. So I put it on 3 because it's like really it's really good. It's right next to my hand anyway, because I've got my fingers on 1 and 2 for the health and mana. So I just have 3 fingers on there. And you can actually select targets on the ground. You can select monsters as well. And your minions will stop everything what they're doing and go directly to them. This allows you to direct your living weapon. And you basically, you see a target that you want dead, like this rare, and it just pounds on them, ignoring everything else. And yeah. Also, I'm going to be rusty. I haven't actually played the game today, so it's the first time going in. And yeah, you can also be very, very safe by, you can send your minion over like there, down crevices and stuff. You can stay back and let it deal with monsters and you're completely safe. They will still come towards you, but you can always like move back. So if you're in a bad situation, you can do that.
All placed.
Okay, now I believe yeah, that should be fine. Just gonna come around here. And then if you can see any like rares or any high value targets. There you go, and you can just immediately like, send it off. So as I said, its AoE is pretty bad, but its single target is phenomenal. And its tooltip is 110,000. Okay, so this does not take into account the does not take into account armor breaking or anything like that. Oh yes, I forgot. We're actually slightly less rage than I'm used to. Okay, see that rare over there? Removed. And I wasn't in any danger, I didn't need to go anywhere near the rare. If I think a rare is taking too long, I can pounce, or I can do the ferocious roar, hit it with maul or pounce or something, and remove all of its armor. So, dealing with masses of enemies is definitely the biggest issue. Yeah, like that. So, things like breaches is something that I need to... It's really just a defensive thing. It has nothing to do with the damage output of living weapon.
I can't yet.
This is a great example. We've got all of that armor breaking. And yeah, so Abyss is probably one of my favourite mechanics. And it does Abyss extremely well. So unlike Breach, where enemies can actually come from all sides, I feel like that is a bit of a problem. But Abyss, where it's all just on a line, is amazing. Now the biggest issue, I would say, with Living Weapon is that the AI does tend to go off in weird directions unless you are directing it all the time. It'd be nice if they changed the AI to simply go after the highest rarity. If they could do that, I wouldn't mind at all, because that's basically what I want it to do. Is just go after the highest rarity and be done with it. Also, can I just code to me? Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, that should be way better. Oh, yeah, here is a good example of bossing. Ferocious Roar. Break its armor. And we should be able to see it's 110.
I'm not ready.
Might be because of the map in question. But I can assure you it does go up to 110. I did do a picture of it.
Face me!
In fact, if I can open up this, I can probably show you. Pictures. So this one? No, that's an old one. It's annoying where it saves all of these. No, that's something completely different. Okay, yeah, it does go up to
I can't
110.
yet. No challenge.
It's weird. Why doesn't it actually show that?
I'm not ready.
Oh, there you go. So it's now showing. I don't know what the issue is there, but 111,000 actually. From the looks of it.
Whatever's inside must be worth guarding. I'm not ready.
Oh Jesus! That was me getting surrounded. Yeah, same issue, surrounded, and that's just sloppy gameplay. Number 1 down. Number 2 down.
I need more time.
Ooh, it's that particular one, I think. With the lightning. But that also went down.
Spoils of war.
That's probably because I opened up the blimmin' chest at the same time, so just more enemies than there should have been. Again, it's not my poor planning. That shouldn't be something to consider about the build. Clearly it's up to the task, it's just I'm bad.
I need more time.
Oh, I should have done that skill in place for Pounce ages ago. That feels so much better.
I can't yet. challenge. I've nowhere to keep that. I'm not ready.
Okay, so yeah, there you have it. So T10s, not too shabby. I'm pretty sure I can move this up to T15s and Pinnacles.
Speak
100k should be more than enough for
quickly.
at least the first version of like Arbiter.
Time is of the essence.
So I don't see that being an issue. If there is an issue, it's just the fact that I've got to use Pounce effectively because I can't dash. So, okay, thanks for watching, and tell me what you think. Bye bye.